Well, hi YouTubers. Okay, I'm going to start this video with a confession. I never watched Paul Potts at all in 2007 Britain's Got Talent. At all. I didn't watch any Britain's Got Talent. Yes. Now, I first heard about Paul Potts when it was just before his Raw Variety Show performance, and my sisters and my mum were talking about him, and he said to me, "Hey, Jodie, what do you think of Paul Potts?" And I didn't know who that was. Seriously, I know it's ridiculous. So because at the time I was working weekends and I was really busy. It was 10 years ago and I had so much going on in my own life. I didn't watch any of them, and so I went to YouTube and they worked in that famous performance. I remember so well because I started to cry. There's a confession. I saw that performance of Nessa Dorma and I cried because it was so beautiful. I never ever seen anything as beautiful as that in my entire life. Just that quiet, shy, unassuming man with a voice like that. It was incredible. So since then I've seen him live at an event at the Olympic Stadium during the Olympics, and that's like the big kind of unveiling of it, showing it off prior to the Olympic Games starting. I do own over there One Chance, which is a really, really good film. I enjoyed it. And now I've just finished One Chance, the memoir by Paul Potts. It's actually really, really good. Now obviously this is part of the 365 100 books. This is now book 10 on the list, and Paul Potts' memoir, and it's really, really good. What I like about this book is he seems so surprised. It is really funny. Now, when you read a story about someone's life, it goes into some detail, okay, about his family. He is essentially the middle child. He's got an older brother, Mark, then two younger siblings, a brother and a sister, who are twins. And just this boy from a very typical working class background. And the thing is, I can identify with that, being working class myself. I identify with the fact he was bullied at school, that he is very, very in tune with his faith. I absolutely respect that. It is quite funny how the movie One Chance, itchy nose, the movie One Chance really took so many liberties with his life. And when I was reading that, obviously, because it came out about the same time as the film did, okay, obviously front cover gave that away. This book would have made a better film than the film that came out. That one focused on, sometimes I think, the wrong things, but James Corden did a really good job though, so no complaints. It is just so funny reading about his life. I mean, it's strange how his early childhood, his bullying, his growing up in a working class background with parents who worked hard. You can see his work ethic coming in very, very early. But at the same time, Paul Potts from this book, he is his own worst enemy. Honestly, he is so last minute. It is unbelievable. His story of how his dissertation failed, okay, due to power cuts. I've been there too, mate. I've been there too. I've really been there too. But at the same time, it's Paul Potts is a leaper. He jumps straight in. You know, he's always, I think, there's a kind of juxtaposition between Paul Potts. As to quote Oscar Wilde, we're all in the gutter. Some of us are looking to the stars. Paul Potts is there. He is a star jump. He's jumping. Yeah, that sounds like a weird thing to say, okay? But it's true. This story of this very quiet, unassuming young man who works at a Carphone warehouse with a voice like that. So I really, really enjoyed this. But I actually read it in one day. I read it on a long bus journeys yesterday. And it is just incredible. Now, sadly, during his teenage years, he was a victim of a paedophile, which is quite difficult to read. But at the same time, Paul acknowledges that he couldn't do anything about that. He wasn't at the age where he could feel like he could speak up, and it is quite sad the amount of regret in his voice when he describes that. But the thing is, it is good that he did describe that in some respects. You know, it is very difficult to read. It's kind of this conflict between where he is right now and where he wants to be, which is carried on quite well in the film. And one thing I like about this book, because this book came out in, when did this book come out? 2013. Paul Potts did his Britain's Got Talent performance in 2007. This is written by a man who seems so surprised this happened to him. Now it opens up, I will literally do, I mean, it's got the foreword by Simon Cowell, okay, which is very, very nice, by the way. Okay. I'm just going to read a little bit from the prologue. I will never forget that fateful day, the dull wet Saturday morning of St Patrick's Day in 2007, when I arrived at the Millennium Centre in Cardiff to audition for Britain's Got Talent. My father was panicking that my wife Jules and I would be late. The audition was the same day as a Welsh-England rugby match, and having set off from our home in Port Talbot, we hit the traffic outside Lannerstrait, about 40 miles from Cardiff. My phone began vibrating in my pocket. I looked at the screen, and it was Dad who was already at the venue. The people were already going in, he said with an audible scowl. Stop worrying, I said, they're probably contestants from an early round of auditions. But however much I tried to reassure him, I couldn't calm his nerves. He kept calling me as he made up our way to the M4. I'd been strangely subdued on the drive up, but once I reached the concert hall, all that changed. We still had some time to wait before I was sent to the holding area, and having no clue what time I would be going on, I was beginning to get quite nervous. I picked up my jacket number from the check-in area, 31829, which I stuck sideways on my jacket, and made my way up the stairs to the auditorium. Even in the prologue, you can see his kind of family's off him. His family are anxious for him. They want this for him. They want him to do well. And it is really, really quite interesting, Paul describing his very, very working class background. And this is a boy with, you know, us again, gutter, looking at the stars. You know, doing a position which is not normally afforded to working class. And that really, really carries over. The opportunities he had to let go, I'm not going to spoil it, the opportunities he had to let go because of financial issues. The fact is that he didn't do brilliantly in his exams, but he managed to work his way into university. A working class boy pushing for the stars. And one thing I love about this book, and about Paul Potts in general, is the love he has for his family. It's beautiful. And this bit here, it describes Jules, or Julie, or Julia, his wife, and I love this. And one thing about this book, though, there is an undercurrent of some serious reality, because Paul Potts is probably one of the most clumsiest men in human history. Now, I'm clumsy. Reading this, I was like, oh my good God. Seriously, anything that could happen to Paul Potts will happen to Paul Potts. It's very, very, yeah. But there's this one bit on page 160 that I love. I had one final leading role to perform that spring, the bridegroom at my wedding to Jules. Our marriage was to be the accumulation of a frantic few months, as well as my time in hospital and the other productions, where I'd also been house hunting and had finally found our first home. The conditions in central Port Talbot, the house was in central Port Talbot, and though it wasn't in great condition, it was the best we could afford. When we applied for the mortgage, we could only use Jules' income. We didn't know whether my tumour was cancerous or not, and as a result, I couldn't get critical illness coverage or life insurance. We had a very nervous wait while our house, which was a repossession, went through a statutory 10-day notice period. After an agonising wait, we discovered that our offer was the only one accepted within the notice period. We were delighted. It was the last property in the area we could have bought with our budget. Now we could focus on getting married. It kind of shows that no matter what Paul does in his life, his dreams, there's this undercurrent of reality coming through. And it really kind of sums up Britain's Got Talent in a way. You know, he was so down on his luck. Anything that could have happened to him had happened to him. He was lucky enough to meet the woman of his dreams, a beautiful Jules, and he describes as his love and support. But at the same time, it's the reality keeps encasing on his dreams. And it always, you're reading this knowing the ending, but at the same time, you just want that dream to come sooner. He knew from a very early age he wanted to be a singer, but he was in his 30s when he got the chance to stand on stage in Cardiff in front of Simon Cowell. So I really, really recommend this book. It's written from obviously a working class perspective, which, as I said before, I am. But it just shows that the little ingredients of his life, the little moments, the experiences, all cumulated in that on that stage in 2007, which led him to win in Britain's Got Talent. So, for those who haven't read this book, you need to read this. It is just heartwarming. Very much like the film, it's heartwarming. So, Paul Potts, I'm actually gonna tweet this to Paul Potts as well, see what he thinks. The Paul Potts, congratulations on now your 10 years of success. You are a fantastic singer. I have seen you live now, and congratulations, cause hey, for making me cry 10 years ago. And for those who've seen this but have never seen a Britain's Got Talent audition, I'm gonna look back at the links and just see for yourself. So thank you, and sign off now.